over 10,000 kilometers between the southern tips of Africa and Australia. It is the smallest, geologically youngest, and physically most complex of the world's three major oceans. And on this ocean stretches the 1,700 islands that make up tiny Maldives. The Republic of the Maldives, made up of 26 atolls, sits at the crossroads where the sea lanes from East Asia link to the Middle East. And the strategic importance of Maldives is not lost on its next door neighbor.
तो हमारे संबंधों की जड़ें इतिहास से भी पुरानी है और समुद्र जितनी गहरी है। हम केवल पड़ोसी नहीं हैं, सहयात्री भी हैं। फ्रेंड्स, भारत मालदीव का सबसे करीबी पड़ोसी है। मालदीव भारत की नेबरहुड फर्स्ट पॉलिसी और महासागर विजन दोनों में एक अहम स्थान रखता है।
On September 23, 2018, Ibrahim Mohammed Solih won the election in the race against incumbent President Abdullah Yameen. Yameen was seeking re-election for a second 5-year term. The passions in Maldives were running high and 89% of the electorate came out to vote. The results were not just an outcome for the two opposing Maldivian politicians, but by proxy it also reset the status for two antagonistic Asian giants, India and China. The island nation has historically fallen within India's sphere of influence, but China, with its economic largesse, had made new inroads and become a key partner. China backed Yameen, who had come to power in the wake of a 2012 military coup. Under him, authoritarianism had deepened. Press and individual freedom had been curtailed. In 2017, Yameen had declared a state of emergency and clipped the functioning of courts. In the 2018 elections, India stood up against the erosion of citizens' rights and press freedom in Maldives, coming out in support of the struggling opposition. With Solih's victory, it seemed that India had decisively won the battle of influence. But the ding-dong nature of events was to continue far into the future.
If you talk about people, I think people always had a very warm relationship with India. When you talk about people to people, when this government came in, there was some friction, but I don't think every friction has to be kept forever. So President Dr. Muiz and his government has worked hard with bilateral relations to improve between Maldives and India.
Republic of India, Shri Narendra Modi.
When on 25th of July 2025, the Indian Prime Minister touched down in Malé, it was yet another moment of great reset. Prime Minister Modi spent 2 days in Maldives as the guest of honor at the Maldives' 60th Independence Day celebrations. This visit marked a turning point because after months of strained relations, both sides were acknowledging the need to recalibrate. The visit by Prime Minister Modi was his first since President Mohammad Muizu took office in 2023 following an election campaign that was built on the India Out platform.
Well, we are in this beautiful country of Maldives, and you can see the beach, and of course many tourists have arrived here. Prime Minister Modi is on a historic visit to Maldives, and this is historic because there's a reset of ties between India and Maldives that is happening. Just 2 years ago there was a sense of chill, a sense of frostiness between India and Maldives, with relations going sour, but there were quite diplomatic efforts that were made by Indian diplomats, and also from the other side India also helped Maldives even as the country struggled with an economic crisis, and now bilateral ties are back on track. Today is going to be a busy day for the Prime Minister. He was already accorded a ceremonial welcome by not just President Moizu of Maldives, but also his entire delegation of ministers, including the Home Minister and the Foreign Minister. He also had a community event, and from here of course there is an official reception for him in the afternoon, and then at night there's going to be a banquet, that will be a dinner that will be hosted by President Moizu, and tomorrow is when the official celebrations of the 60th year of Maldives independence will begin. Prime Minister Modi is going to spend the day in Maldives, in fact 2 days, and he will be the special chief guest at that event.
As soon as he became president, Mohammad Moizu had thumped a geopolitical nose at India by setting off to Beijing for his first ever state visit. On the visit, he signed 20 key agreements with his Chinese counterpart. 2 months later, the Maldives and China also signed a military assistance agreement. Investments under the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative kept flowing into Maldives. Soon after taking office, President Moizu requested the withdrawal of Indian defense personnel involved in surveillance, disaster relief and medical evacuations in the small country. India agreed to replace them with civilians, but the move triggered diplomatic tensions.
President Moise had invited our Prime Minister as the guest of honor to attend the Independence Day celebration, and our Prime Minister had come over here to be part of the celebrations of the 60th anniversary. It's a very significant development in the sense that our two countries have had very good relationship, and this visit I'm sure would be further contributing to the success and the strengthening of our ties in all directions.
During his visit, Prime Minister Modi announced a US $565 million line of credit and launched free trade talks with the Maldives. India also announced a reduction in repayments of an earlier credit line from $51 million to $29 million annually. Along with the economic basket of gifts and concessions, India also promised naval vessels to Maldives to bolster maritime surveillance.
हमारी साझेदारी अब वेदर साइंस में भी होगी. मौसम चाहे जैसा हो, our friendship will always remain bright and clear. मालदीव की रक्षा क्षमताओं के विकास में भारत निरंतर सहयोग देता रहेगा.
India and Maldives relations go back 60 years, since the nation became independent in 1965. India and Maldives engagements flourished, beginning in the late 1980s, when India sent soldiers to abort a coup in the Maldives. The cordial friendship continued under different sets of governments, both in New Delhi and Male. The Indian diaspora too felt at home in the Maldives, with their home country just across the waves to the north and west.
Local populace in both the countries, we normally have the tendency to stay clear of whatever happens in the political arena, because politics is a different game altogether. So basically, we really, and I believe that is between two different countries and their representatives to engage themselves in order to sort out differences. But to make it pretty clear on the people-to-people side, as I told you, the people-to-people connect has been a lot more stronger. We have a much more stronger bond. We have actually, and that that bond is built on mutual respect for each other. And for this reason, actually, I would not really say that we had had a single instance where we had any issues between people of both the countries.
The growing Chinese influence that marked the years before and during the Yamin presidency was countered when Maldives under Ibrahim Soleh initiated an India First policy. The policy prioritized India for economic and defense partnerships and showed greater sensitivity to Indian concerns emanating from Chinese investments and activities in the Maldives.
India has been our development partner. It has been our first responder. You know, I always say, you know, India is our 911 call. You know, whenever in an emergency, be it in '88 when we needed help, be it the Male water crisis, the tsunami, and even in the COVID crisis that we had, the pandemic, they were there to help.
The Maldives is strategically located in the Indian Ocean and is an integral part of India's maritime security architecture. India provides economic support and assistance to the Maldives, particularly in infrastructure and healthcare.
When the fallout started, there was some sort of unease, but after that I think both the countries, both the government has realized how much they need each other in terms of the neighborhood safety and in terms for Maldives in terms of financial implications. So I think after that the work that the government has done, we have come back on terms, and even the people-to-people relations are now stronger than ever.
Tourism accounts for nearly a third of the Maldivian economy. Upmarket island resorts offering pristine sun and sand experience attracted the rich Westerner. But with growing economic prowess, the number of Indian tourists steadily began to increase. By 2023, Indians had become the largest group of visitors, a statistic that got waylaid by politics. Three Maldivian junior ministers triggered a diplomatic row when they made some unsavory comments about the Indian Prime Minister. A boycott Maldives campaign unfolded in India, and between the boycott and the political India Out campaign in Maldives, Indian tourism in the island nation started drying up. But pragmatism overcame the growing distance between the two countries, and slowly Maldives started inching back towards its former close ties with India. The reset was confirmed when President Muizu was invited to visit India for Prime Minister Modi's 2024 swearing-in ceremony. Prime Minister Modi of India and President Muizu of the Maldives sat beside each other at the banquet that followed. Days before the Indian Prime Minister landed, President Muizu told reporters in Malé how Indian tourists were going to make their way back to the Maldives. The visit by Prime Minister Modi in geostrategic terms demonstrated to China that its influence in the Maldives remains unchallenged and is perpetual. For Maldives, it is proof that even one of the tiniest countries in the world can use diplomatic agility and domestic balancing to safeguard its state of independence. And all the while, the dragon waits and watches from afar.
This is the last word, and I am Maria Shaki. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has said that the Congress has an atom bomb of proof that the Election Commission was stealing votes for the BJP. And when the matter comes to light, the poll panel will have no place to hide, quote unquote. Responding to Rahul Gandhi, the poll body said, and I quote, that it has ignored such baseless allegations being made on a daily basis. The BJP then went ahead and criticized the Congress leader for using undemocratic and undignified language. Remember, the opposition parties have been protesting against the Bihar's SIR, which is the Special Intensive Revision exercise, for the last few days. The Congress leader's remarks came after he and other opposition leaders wrote to the Lok Sabha Speaker urging him to schedule a discussion on this exercise. The opposition has alleged that SIR exercise is aimed at disenfranchising voters ahead of the crucial elections in Bihar. Here's what happened today, and then I bring in the guests.